after viewers saw the End White Silence police chief on the Get to the Point panel last week publicly defend the use of stop-and-frisk tactics in the city of Pittsburgh, a police procedure that has led to protests from New York City to Oakland. Some in social media and grassroots communities began to question how a man committed to ending racism at his workplace was also justifying the use of the racially controversial tactic of stop and frisk as a necessary tool for police officers. Even Chief McAllister himself said in December that only 3 to 5% of the black community makes up the troublemakers we all seek to bring to justice. Yet in Pittsburgh, African Americans make up over 62% of the warrantless searches, that is, stop and frisk searches, despite being only 26% of Pittsburgh's population. Considering the fact that the shooting of Leon Ford Jr. was a result of stop and frisk tactics, and the assault on Jordan Miles was a result of stop and frisk tactics, coupled with the fact that the city of Pittsburgh has paid out hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past couple of years due to lawsuits involving the police. Is stop and frisk really something that we need to continue in our beloved city, especially when empirical evidence shows that roughly 9 out of 10 stop and frisk incidents end without an arrest or a capture of illegal guns? Now, I don't believe that Chief McAllister is a racist, and I don't believe that majority of police officers are racist. I said that last Friday, and I emphatically say that again tonight. However, it is impractical and almost impossible to commit to ending racism, sexism, or any form of systematic hatred that may be found within police ranks or anywhere in the workplaces of America if we also simultaneously justify any tool, policy, or behavior that enforces the hatred we seek to overcome. We need both sides of the badge to be safe every day, but we must also adhere to the tenets of our nation, including the Fourth Amendment regarding illegal searches, because, after all, thousands of Americans in blue have died serving us as police officers, just as millions of Americans have died in uniform, defending the sovereignty of the United States and the Constitution we hold dear. After Chief McAllister's recent welcome to Pittsburgh, national attention due to his common sense tweet, which I still defend, and his appearance last week on the Get to the Point panel, it's clear that we need consistent and forthright transparency from our police forces, both here in Pittsburgh and around the nation. Without it, the crisis of confidence may remain validly intact. Further, it's self-evident that we must continue the dialogue about police practices if we are going to bridge the divide between communities of color and police officers, especially here at home. The thousands of protesters across our region, our nation, and the globe have made it clear: Black Lives Matter. And the continued use of stop and frisk is a non-starter for dialogue and partnerships with urban communities. If Chief McAllister is to be successful healing the divide between communities of color and the police here in Pittsburgh, stop and frisk must immediately become a flaw from our past here in Pittsburgh, not a racially flawed and controversial part of our future. Warrantless searches, stop and frisk, must officially cease in the city of Pittsburgh, where it's applied 62% of the time against 26% of the city, where the police force is only going after 1% of the population that's actually committing crime. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It's fitting that as we sit on the eve of MLK Day weekend, we have the power to fulfill his words and legacy by addressing and ending a reality that marks the gloom of inconsistency, mistrust, and divisiveness. It's time for a return to the sunlight of our constitutional protections as American citizens, our civil rights legacy as proud neighbors, and better times ahead as one big team. That starts with ending stop and frisk here in the city of Pittsburgh.